What I've discovered as I've learned to work with God over the years, and I've helped a lot of people in their marriages, is that many times we struggle and mess up our marriages because we focus on changing our spouses. And when you are so focused on changing your spouse, what will happen to you is that you will have this pent up anger. You will have things that frustrate you, and then you'll be waiting and doing things, different things you would do to try to change them. You will get to counselors, but when you're at the counselor's place, you are wishing that they will show you what to do to change your spouse. You will try to bring them into the pastor's office to discuss, with the mindset that the pastor will say something so powerful, it will hit your spouse, and once the spouse has been hit by the power of God, they will just change. So all that mindset is what causes the problems to continue for a long time. I'm a believer in prayer, and I spend time in prayer. In fact, I was just sharing with a friend, the most important time in my life any day is my time of prayer. This is where everything that I have comes from. Regardless, I haven't said that. I want you to know that prayer doesn't do many things. For example, if you are a farmer, you pray that to have a great harvest, and you get 1 million angels actually descend upon you and tell you you're going to have a great harvest. You still need to go and plant the seeds. All right. The Lord will not take the seeds that He has given to you and take them to plant by Himself. You will need to plant the seed. So I haven't prayed and I haven't trusted God for a move of God in your marriage, for your husband to change, for your wife to change, whatever you are in your mind just thinking right now. There are actions that need to be taken on your part to make sure that you are joyful. You are at peace. This is where it starts from. Because if you can remove your joy and your peace from your husband's hands, your life will be longer, and you will have more room in your mind, in your spirit, to receive direction on how to help your husband. So, for example, a husband that is addicted to pornography is addicted. Now, and I believe if the person is born again, filled with the Spirit, or if not, even if they are not born again, even many people who are not born again recognize that pornography is disrespectful to their spouses. Let's assume that this person is born again and they know God. Then you must know that this makes them feel bad and they want to stop, but they're addicted, and that's why they call it addiction. Addiction means you try to stop, it doesn't stop. You try to stop and you get success for a week, and then it breaks down. And many people are ashamed of that. So some spouses are ashamed of it, so they won't enroll you into the process to overcome, but they need to. But they won't do that because they are ashamed. So what do? How do you move forward? Start from where it starts. Yourself. Work on your own joy. Once you know that you are able to say, you know what, as a person, I'm happy. I do not put my joy in the behavior of my spouse. My joy is centered on God. And so this is why, if you look at the roadmap for the love workout method, at the very middle of it is prayer, true submission. This is where it all centers, and that's where you will get your victory from. So once you've done that, you've learned to settle your joy in God. This is when you can then enroll yourself in the process of helping your husband to overcome that problem. Now, when you are in the process of enrolling yourself in the process of helping your husband, you will be speaking certain words and sowing certain seeds that will make your husband to feel comfortable to speak and tell you exactly how they go through this problem. Pornography can be overcome by God's help, God's power in our lives. Whenever we receive the Holy Spirit in us and we allow our hearts to open up to the Holy Spirit, He destroys all the things that are negative in our hearts. Pornography is a manifestation of the flesh. That's the work of the flesh. Any addiction is an oppression of the enemy. The enemy puts it and makes it continue to be there no matter how much you try to overcome. So when a person surrenders to the Holy Spirit begins to empower them to break that yoke and to take the authority and release themselves from that situation. But as long as they are still in pride and in shame and in fear and all of that, the enemy always has a room to get back in and pull them down. This is where you come in as a spouse to begin to help your husband. And so what would you do is to create an atmosphere where your husband is free to enroll you into the process of changing them. Now, having said that, you can only do that if your heart is in the right place. You can only do that if you're no longer intimidated by the pictures that he's watching. You can only do that when you will not be triggered to say the wrong things and triggered to begin to behave the wrong way. Because once you find your husband beginning to watch or continuing, usually this doesn't start in a marriage. It usually starts before they got married. And so they're continuing the behavior that they thought would stop, or you thought would stop, or you never knew was there, and they thought that they had control over it. They find themselves going into it, and they're ashamed of it. They know how you react, and as long as you keep reacting like that, they keep getting afraid and ashamed, and they hide that, and they're destroying that peace, that emotional safety that is in the home. So it's not easy to get them to break that. So what you want to do is figure ways that you are not triggered internally. Now, you may say, I don't say anything outwardly. Yes, you may not be saying things outwardly, but if you are doing them, you're thinking them, you're feeling them, you're stressed inside, it comes out. It comes out. So if you can work on your heart and then calmly walk with them and say, you know what, how can I be of help to you to overcome this challenge? Because as a child of God, you know that this does not glorify God. You know that the bodies of these people that you're watching is not being used to glorify God. You know that you are disrespecting your body and disrespecting me as your spouse. But I know you know that, and I'm willing to help you. And of course, all of that is backed by prayer. You are in the place of prayer. You're asking God for direction, to the right words to say, what right words to sow in their heart. All the other things you do all through the week helps to do that. Now, the moment you are able to see that this is a problem that you can join your husband to overcome, you already solved half of the problem. Because most times, the reason why many people do not have the victory that they ought to have is that they see their spouse as their enemy, and they stay on one side and say, you know what, this man should better stop this, he's disrespecting me. No, don't do that. Say, I'm going to go alongside with him, and we're going to kill this pornography, because he's an enemy to both of us, not just to him, and he needs help to overcome it. That's how I'm going to answer that question. I hope that has helped you. I want interaction. I want you to show up with your questions. I know you've been sending me questions by email, but it's even more fun if when I answer a question like this and you have other questions that are coming up, you put them in the chat and we interact. It makes it more richer. More people will be blessed, because sometimes when I'm speaking from years of experience, and I'm assuming certain knowledge that I cannot always say all of it in one video. So I'm assuming certain things. So when you ask those questions, I'm able to tell you, yes, this is what I'm assuming, and this is where to find a video that talks about that. The Lord bless you, and the Lord continue to increase you and strengthen your marriage. Don't forget that if you are being blessed by this, don't keep it to yourself. Sharing is caring. Not only that, remember to subscribe to the channel so that you get me live. I'm live every week. I will always go live on Mondays to answer questions, bring some training, and I want to see marriages transformed, restored, empowered.